In this video, we're going to look at how to create a fun image like this. It involves a cunning combination of shooting skills and Photoshop magic. For this trick image, we need to take a series of photos and then piece them together afterwards in Photoshop. It's vital that all the shots are in alignment, so we need a tripod. I used a low camera angle to emphasize the height of the subject. For our first shot, we bring in a stepladder and ask our model Emma here to perch on top, then experiment with a few different poses. We also asked her to hold a mug as if she's enjoying a relaxing cup of tea, just to contrast with the precarious posing. In an effect like this, it's the contact points between things that can give the game away. So here we ensure there's a clean line where the model's bottom meets the ladder. This makes it easier to substitute the ladder for the chairs afterwards. At this point, it's a good idea to focus on her with autofocus, then switch to manual focus to lock it in place. As for exposure settings, manual mode is best for consistency between the frames. I'm at 1/200th of a second at f2.8 ISO 800. For our second shot, the model climbs down, we remove the ladder and bring in our stack of chairs. We balance the chairs on top of one another and lean them on the edge of the ladder so that it looks as though they're teetering on two legs, making sure the top of the chairs is in exactly the same position as the top of the ladder in the previous frame. Next, we remove the ladder and hold the chairs in place so we can copy in the bottom part of the chair leg. After this, we ask our model to perch on one of the chairs, and this gives us the connection between her and the chair that we can copy into the composite later. It's also a good idea to remove everything and capture the empty scene, just in case we need to fill in any obscured parts of the backdrop. With everything we need for our composite, let's head into Photoshop and piece it all together. So here are the set of images that I'm going to be using for this. So I've got these 4 images here and then this last one here. So I'm going to start by opening up these first 4 here. So I'll highlight them all in Bridge. I can do that by holding Shift and clicking between the first and the last image. And then I'm going to go to Tools, Photoshop, Load Files into Photoshop Layers. And after a few seconds, the image will open up. Now, if we bring up our Layers panel here by going to Window Layers, you can see how each image now occupies a separate layer here in my layer stack. So I'm going to start off with this top layer here, which is my subject on the ladder. I'm going to click the Add Layer Mask icon here at the bottom of the Layers panel to add a mask attached to that layer. Now, while this mask is highlighted here, I can paint with black to hide parts of that layer. So I can grab the brush tool, I can hit D and then X, and that sets my foreground color down here to black. Then let's just zoom in a little bit here. And I can use the left and right square bracket keys to resize my brush tip and then just paint to remove or hide the ladder. You can see how that reveals the stack of chairs on the layer below. Now, it looks a little bit messy where it meets the body here, but we'll deal with that in a moment. So I'll just finish off removing the ladder like this and revealing those chairs. Now we still see a part of the ladder here where it's resting on the ladder when we've moved the ladder across to the right. So I can fix that in a moment. First of all, let's just make sure the original ladder is completely hidden. Then what I can do next is highlight the layer below and again add a layer mask to that layer, and then I can use this layer to remove that bit of the ladder, because what we're seeing on the layer below those top 2 is this image here where we can use this tiny bottom section of the chair on this layer here and blend it in with everything else using our layer masks like this. Now there's a tiny bit of ladder here, so I can highlight that top layer mask and again paint with black just to remove that touch of red there. So at the moment that's looking pretty good, apart from this bit where the chairs meet the body. So let's zoom in closer to that area, and what I'm going to do now is bring in my last image. So back in Bridge, I'm going to open up this image here that I took where we have our model here perched on the chairs like this. Then I'm going to grab the lasso tool, let's zoom in closer to this area here, and I'm just going to make a rough selection around this portion of the image. and then I'm going to copy it with Command or Control and C. That's Command C on a Mac, Control C on a PC, and then go back to my main image and Command or Control and V to paste it in. Then I can hit Command or Control and T for transform, and I can try and position it roughly in place. I can just lower the layer opacity while I'm positioning it like this, just to help me get it in exactly the right spot like this. I might want to make it slightly smaller so that it fits more neatly. And I'm happy with that, so I'll hit enter to apply and then bring the opacity back up to 100. Now I need to add a layer mask to that top layer there that we just added. Then again, using the brush tool with black as my foreground color, I can right click and make sure my brush hardness is right down at 0, and then I can just paint to create a softer transition between those layers like that. So I might need to be quite precise with my painting around this part of the image here like this, and also over here. I can hold shift and click between 2 points to paint in a straight line like that, and that's looking pretty good. Now it's looking much more natural where the chair meets the body. Let's just tidy up around this little part here. And I'm pretty happy with that. Now if I toggle that top layer off and on, you can see how that just tidies up that entire area. Now I might need to finish off just by cloning this slight messy patch here. So I'm going to create a new layer at the top of my layer stack here, and I'll grab the clone tool from the tools panel over here. I'll make sure I'm set to sample all layers up here, and let's just zoom in closer to that area there. Then I can just hold Alt and click to sample a source, and then just paint to clone in a tiny bit of extra dress around here like this. And we can of course use the clone tool to tidy up any other little messy patches around the frame until it's perfect. But I think that's looking pretty good. So there we go. That's how to create a fun, precarious portrait using a combination of shooting skills and Photoshop trickery.